And it's significant because that's significant to know because the article I read this morning, Boulder has taxed and regulated themselves to the point where it is a non-business friendly environment. And guess where a lot of those businesses are going? They're going 15 miles east into the town that we operate in because we are not overly taxed, overly regulated, and we're business friendly.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How do you think, Islam, that actually attaching a brand to a building will increase the price, or still you are believing that that location is going to be the key factor? And after, yes, if you attach a brand to it, if you do a very cool architect design, you might increase a little bit more, but the main principle is the location. Or do you think that doing another things you can increase the price?
I think the majority of it is location for sure. Still,
I think I agree with you. I agree with
there's a desirability. Like I said, we tried it. I mean, not to get
you.
political, but
You done it yourself, right?
yeah, but not to yeah,
No.
not to get political, but like there's a guy we can point to branding all over the United States who's done it. That's why we made most of his money right away. Was actually right after The Apprentice, right? Is
Mhm.
the trademarking. This guy doesn't own all these buildings, Mr. Trump. That's who we're talking about. But he's got his name all over the place, and so he licenses. He's like the anomaly though. There's really not there's not that's not usual for what happens in placemaking in that way, just putting your
Last, but
name under
if you
their
check
signature.
balance, if you check, all those properties are in premium locations.
They were exactly, yeah. I mean, think about
Exactly,
right on.
their strategy allocated. That's what I'm saying. That I think you're right in the fundamental. And I think that brand,
Yeah.
the Trump brand, understood exactly what you were saying, right? So they
Yes.
will attach a name to a property that we have a good location.
A great location first, yeah. So first and
Yeah,
foremost, like if we're just cascading the
exactly.
importance, yeah, a location. That's what I'm saying, 80-90%. And
Mhm.
I'm not trying to take away from Mr. Trump and his brilliance in terms of a business person. The guy's a
Absolutely.
billionaire, you know.
On the
And then
other
he adds,
hand,
yeah.
Lance, because realize what you realize, right? Because imagine that you put a name to something that's in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter which name you're gonna.
Hmm.
It's not based on what you describe. That is not gonna work. I remember Lance that in my business property the same thing, right? Like in London, for example, because we have so many properties to choose, right? I remember that there were properties that they were close to a supermarket location. Let's go back to location, close to a supermarket, close to the metro in London. And those properties, even if they were a little bit smaller or whatever, they were renting fast and they don't have any vacancy. And then we have a big house, very comfortable, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes from the station, and nobody wanted. And I'm thinking, why? You have more space, you're more comfortable. But the location, it was a determined factor. So there is no way that, but some value can be added, Lance, right? Okay, let's go to a different question. Uh, why you decided to be in the property game, in the real estate game? I think that you choose an amazing vehicle. My one was by accident. I was in
Hmm.
London. I'm working in the pub. I'm making 5.25 per hour. Every time that I got the paycheck, my rent is 65% of my check. And I'm thinking, if I don't solve this renting issue, I'm gonna spend more than what I make, right? So out of necessity, I started the business, and I was kind of lucky that the credit crunch happened. Okay, so but you tell us your story. Why you choose real estate as a vehicle to build wealth?
Because you make money four different ways. That's it's very simple, right? There's four core methods. There's rental income, there's appreciation, equity buildup, and then there's tax benefits that you get from it, right? My wife was a big inspiration for that. Her mother, they grew up in Detroit, and her mother at one point, rest her soul, I think she had over 30 investment properties as
Oh
a single
wow.
woman. It was
Oh
incredible,
wow.
yeah. And the system she had set up was she would basically there was like a welfare system where you could put she would she would try to house African American women that basically the state would pay for their rent, but it would go like she would be the checkpoint for the rent, and it was a guaranteed form of income. And her mother retired very early, and she had a great last 20, 30 years. And then my so I would talk with my mother-in-law a lot and just pick her brain about it. I was fascinated by the whole thing. She would tell these crazy stories. It was like really fun. And then my wife, I think
Oh
she has like,
wow, really? Oh, very good.
yep.
Lance, because you're a designer, right? By what
Yeah,
do you have a degree? Do you went to university? What is your background?
well, exactly. I wanted to be a builder first, and then an architect, and then eventually a real estate developer and an investor. That was my sequence. I was actually not all about it. So it was a lot of life, a lot of people influencing me in that sort of way. One of my
So why you
heroes is,
wanna be this? Why you wanna be this? Did you pick a book? You saw a TV show? Your relative inspire you? So when this dream, I wanna do this, came from?
to do the serial entrepreneur thing, which culminates in owning property, is it came from when I was completing my master's of architecture degree, and the word developer kept popping up over and over again because that's
Mm,
who usually hires architects.
mm.
And for me, it's always been a look, I grew up in a lower middle class family. Money was an issue. I didn't like the anxiety of not having money. My favorite rapper, Kanye West, completed a phrase for me that I heard my whole life. My mom and dad used to say all the time, having money isn't everything. Kanye West said, not having it is. And I went, oh man, it's true. Like if you don't have money, then kind of getting money and is everything to you. So for us with the real estate development and investment, it's about wearing all three hats and getting a much bigger reward for the risk because we're the architects, we're the builders, we're the real estate developers, and then ultimately the investors and the owners, and we have to take care of the properties, right? So like Alex and I even manage the HOA at our real estate development that I'm sitting in right now to make sure that it retains long-term asset value. So that's the reason why. It's just like it's a means towards freedom, 100%, right? Like I'm gonna take this afternoon off and go fishing for the rest of the day because I've worked my butt off for 43 years, getting to this point of having passive income and passive asset valuation through real estate investment.
Lance, so it's a great benefit that you know how to design and build, right? Now it comes with the big risks. I think that all the out of all the strategies out there for property, the more risky but the most lucrative. One of the most risky and lucrative are the new developments, right? Um, because you have to wait a lot for the permit, then you have to sell the units. Then again, you might find the challenge with the pricing and the projection that everybody thought that's going to happen. And then you have to, how you call it, pivot or make different on deal with this on the projection. So, any advice do you have for property developers in United States? Any message you want to send?
Lean
Apart
into
that,
real.
make sure that the location is good, but don't pick a location. Don't pick a location and thinking that because you have a great building, you're gonna move the price of the area. That's not gonna work, right?
Yeah, two things I think right now there is I think you need to pay attention to the edges because the edges are where opportunity exists. Somewhere in between a place that's hot and a place that's not. Because you're hoping the hot expands to the not part, right? So like imagine a downtown that's being revitalized. We're doing a renovation on a building right now. It's a commercial property. We're turning it into from a pawn shop, nobody liked it, to two restaurants, a coffee shop, and a vinyl record store. And it's right on the edge. It's like a perfect. It was a good price, and it's ripe for development, and it will cap off Main Street. So location matters in that way. And then the second one is, I think right now you need to be leaning into renovation, whether it's residential or commercial, because that's literally what we're doing. And then we're targeting another building that we're going to redevelop in a town 20 miles south. Same thing. We found the edge. It's right on the north side of the downtown Main Street, and it's a great price. Kind of similar building. We're going to try to do the same thing. We think we can replicate it. Those two big factors, I think, is what people who want to get into property should be looking at. It's not. I don't think it's new stuff for a while. I think it's renovating and looking for that edge.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lance. Like, make sure something that is already built, right? Because doing it from scratch, it's a long process that requires a lot of finance. So, Lance, in London, we do something that which that is possible. Sometimes we do commercial, we turn commercial into residential, and it's extremely lucrative over there in the United Kingdom. And after COVID, the commercial spaces it hasn't picked up, right?
Hmm.
Less people go to the office, a lot of empty commercial facilities out there. It is possible in United States to turn commercial into a residential, or whatever is commercial has to stay commercial, and whatever is residential needs to stay residential. How it works?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends on where you're at again, right? Like we keep coming back to this theme. If everybody hasn't noticed, location. I just read an article about the city that we have two offices, and our main office is in this small town, about 100,000 people. It's next to Boulder, and it's significant because that's significant to know because the article I read this morning, Boulder has taxed and regulated themselves to the point where it is a non-business friendly environment. And guess where a lot of those businesses are going? They're going 15 miles east into the town that we operate in because we are not overly taxed, overly regulated, and we're business friendly. So the commercial spaces are thriving over here. They can actually get more rent over there. They can get about 35 bucks triple net, and we can only command maybe 25 bucks triple net office space, but our vacancy rate is much less. Like our occupancy rate, put it this way, our occupancy rate is about 75%, which is very good for commercial, and their occupancy rate is less than a quarter. It's less than 25%. So the proof is in the pudding there in that kind of a way. That's the commercial side of things. So again, that's all about, and you see this actually in state to state, right? Like the exodus that happened from California in the last maybe decade. Where's everybody going? Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, right? Low regulations. Florida. A lot of Florida people are going down there. That's my kind of commentary on the situation. Again, it's about the yin and yang and location.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.